You see this?
Yeah, I see it.
Why did you kill her?
She was talking shit.
Would you believe it if I told you that this clip from the 1986 movie The River's Edge was actually inspired by a real-life crime that happened in the 1980s? Well, it is. The crime shook the entire nation, not just because of its gruesome nature, but also because of what happened afterwards. Hi guys, welcome to CrimeCity, and today we'll look at the shocking case of Anthony Jaques Broussard, the teen who killed his 14-year-old girlfriend and showed off corpse to friends. Born on February 5, 1967, Marcy Conrad was originally from Bloomer, Wisconsin, before she moved to Milpitas, California with her family when she was 3 years old. Everyone who knew Marcy said that she was really nice and sweet and spent most of her time writing poems in her notebook. When this tragic incident happened, Marcy was a 9th grader at Russell Junior High School, where she was described as a solid student with honor roll capabilities. However, at the time, Marcy had started hanging out with a bunch of teens, calling themselves the Stoners, who, as you can already guess by the name, would often skip school to spend their time getting high. Consequently, Marcy also began getting in trouble at school and frequently ran away from home. At some point, Marcy met and became friends with 16-year-old Anthony Jaques Broussard, who went by his middle name, Jacques. A student at Milpitas High School, Jacques had a pretty traumatic experience as a kid that many believe contributed to how he turned up. Jacques' mom reportedly struggled with mental issues, and one time when Jacques was 8 years old, he came home from school to find his mother dead in the bathroom. Some people say that she offed herself, but others believe that she had a heart attack while she was showering. Either way, this pretty much messed Jacques up, and according to his friends, he started acting kind of strange. At 6 foot 4 inches tall and weighing about 280 pounds, Jacques was bigger than most kids his age and had a reputation of being creepy and antisocial. He also had a problem with alcohol and narcotics, but was mostly considered harmless, but he wasn't. Now, there's a bit of mixed information about the nature of Marcy's relationship with Jacques. While her family and friends said that they never dated, others said that they were in an intimate relationship, but she wanted to keep it a secret from her close friends and family, especially her mother, who thought that Jacques was trouble. Many of Marcy's friends also warned her to stay away from him, but apparently she kept on seeing him in secret, a decision that would ultimately cost her her life. On the Tuesday afternoon of November 3rd, 1981, Marcy decided to skip school to go meet up with Jacques at his home. It was the last time she was ever seen alive again. That evening, when Marcy didn't come home, her mother got worried and went to the police to report her missing. She, along with several of Marcy's close friends, also went around the neighborhood searching for her, but she was nowhere to be found. The next day at Milpitas High, rumors started going around that there was a body of a half-naked girl in the woods. Several students who heard the rumors said that it was a mannequin, but others who had seen the body swore that it was real. One of the teens who heard the rumor was 16-year-old Dave Leffler, who attended a continuation school on the other side of town. Dave was a known troublemaker and was often getting into fights with guys much older than him. Just 2 weeks earlier, Dave had survived a jabbing during a fight with a 21-year-old who was twice his size. Dave usually hung out with 18-year-old Mike Irvin, so when he heard the rumor, he and Mike decided to go and check if it was true. When they got there, they could see what seemed like a mannequin partially covered with a black garbage bag at the bottom of the hill. But when they went down to take a closer look, they were horrified to find that it was indeed a body. Dave would later reveal this haunting moment. "When I slid down the hill and looked at it, it was obvious it was a real body. Mike lifted up the plastic bag. She was white and stiff, but she was real." The girl was half naked, with only a top and tennis shoes on. Her jeans were tossed to the side, and it seemed that someone had thrown a rock on her face. Terrified, Dave and Mike went to the police and reported it. The sheriff at the time, Sergeant Gary Meeker, later said that when they got to the scene, they were shocked to learn that the body had been there for 2 days. But their shock turned into dismay when they learned that at least 13 students at Milpitas High School had known about it all along and never reported it. Sheriff Gary said that even while they were at the scene, a group of teenagers had gone up there to see the body, but when they saw the police cars, they turned around and left.
Whether it was fear or whatever would be hard to say, but they knew it was a dead body. Definitely the location of the body, what they could see from the road. Nobody in their right mind could think it was a mannequin.
But what was even more shocking It turned out not only did these teens know about the body, but they also knew the killer as well. The body was identified as Marcy Conrad, and apparently for the past 2 days, Jaques had been going around bragging to his friends that he had violated and killed her. Apparently, that Tuesday when Marcy went to Jaques' home, they got into a fight over something, and he reportedly violated her and then choked her to death. He then put her lifeless, half-naked body in his father's truck and drove to the nearby hills before dumping her at the bottom of the ravine. The next day, when he was hanging out with his friends at school, Jaques reportedly asked them if they wanted to trip on something heavy. Before they could answer, he blurted out, "I killed Marcy yesterday." At first, his friends didn't believe him and thought that he was joking, so he took them to the hills and showed them the body. While there, he also picked up Marcy's wallet, which was lying next to her body, and took out her ID to show them her name. Some of the students reportedly started poking her body with sticks, and someone even dropped a rock at her face to test if there was sign of life. But disturbingly, even after they had established that Jaques had actually killed her, no one thought to go to the police. Instead, they went and told their fellow students, who also went up to see the dead body. In a span of 2 days, a total of 13 students had gone there, and one of them was actually Marcy's old boyfriend, who even brought along his 8-year-old brother to see Marcy's corpse. One girl reportedly ripped off a patch of a popular radio station from Marcy's jeans, which were discarded next to the body, and another boy, identified as Kirk Rasmussen, took a plastic bag and placed it over the body before dumping a garbage bag of leaves on it in an effort to conceal it. The sheriff would later say that in his 15 years in service as a police officer, he had never seen a group of people act so callous about death. He said that the extremity of the crime, which was the strangulation of a young girl, was what made the callousness and silence of the teens so out of the ordinary. Jaques was arrested and charged with Marcy's murder, and during interrogation, he reportedly tried to deflect blame by saying, "I was on drugs, LSD. Marcy had a tendency to mouth off. She was sitting on my lap. Basically what happened, I just grabbed her and she was dead." Now get this, while Dave and Mike did the right thing and were highly commended for it, they also at the same time received a ton of backlash from fellow teenagers who saw them as traitors. Dave would later share an incident that happened about a week after they had reported the body to the police. He said that he was at his house one night when he heard some voices outside his screen door saying, "He's going to pay for what he did to Jaques." He said that he could see 2 young men through the screen and knew that they were up to no good. "I got a .22 shotgun and pointed it at the door. They could see it through the screen and they took off." Dave said he couldn't understand why all those students had it out for him for doing the right thing. "A lot of them were pretty good friends of mine, and I was kind of shocked." Marcy's death made headlines in both local and national media stations, but instead of focusing on the victim and the murder, the press was more interested with the teens who did not report the crime to the police. They wrote stories portraying the teens as a bunch of heartless children with little respect for life. They blamed the teens' heartless reaction to a pervasive moral decline, illegal substances, heavy metal music, and television. It was revealed that some of the students deliberately kept quiet to protect Jaques. One of them was even quoted saying, "Jaques is a partner of mine. He needs help. He's gone wacko, but I wouldn't narc on him." However, many of the other teens said that they were afraid that if they went to the police, they would have been blamed for the murder, while others said that it just took a while to set in. One student who saw the body said that when he went home that evening, he couldn't sleep and kept staring at the ceiling all night. Kirk Rasmussen, the boy who covered Marcy's body with leaves, claimed that he did it out of respect for her because she was naked and I felt it was the right thing to do. It was just like a reaction. However, the police would later tell the court that Kirk had confessed earlier to them that he did it to give Jaques a head start, saying, "If it had been someone else, I would have done the same thing if I knew him." Kirk also said that the images of Marcy's corpse haunted him at school the following day, and he couldn't concentrate or do anything. He said that at some point, he asked Jaques why he did it, and Jaques just laughed at him. Kirk was arrested and charged for being an accessory after the fact. He was found guilty and sentenced to 3 years in juvie. During the sentencing, the judge said that Kirk's actions showed a lack of conscience and morality. As for Jaques, despite his young age, a judge ruled that he should be tried as an adult because of the cruel nature of his crime and the fact that he showed no remorse for his actions. While undergoing psychological examinations, he reportedly stated that he would not even be in jail had it not been for his friends. He was afraid that he would get life imprisonment, which he felt that he didn't deserve because he didn't really mean to kill Marcy. But later, his cellmate told the police that Jaques had apparently confessed to him that he planned to kill Marcy's family, including her mother and brother. On the day that his trial was set to begin in July 1982, Jaques took a plea deal and pleaded guilty to the charges of rape and murder, and he was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison, with a possibility of parole after 16 years and 8 months. However, as of January 2023, Jaques is still serving his sentence at California State Prison and has been denied parole several times. Marcy's murder inspired the screenplay of the 1986 movie The River's Edge, directed by Tim Hunter and starring a young Keanu Reeves and Crispin Glover.
Some f***ing movie, you know? Friends in second grade f***ing like this. And then one of us gets himself in potentially big trouble. And now we've got to deal with it. We've got to test our loyalty against all odds. It's kind of exciting. I feel like Chuck Norris, you know?
The writer of the screenplay said that he got the idea for the movie after hearing about the murder and reading about it in the newspaper, but he deliberately left out certain facts about the case, including casting the killer as white instead of black, and making it sort of a dark humor film, which many people in Milpitas didn't find funny. One of Marcy's friends reportedly even told the director after a special screening of the film, "This movie should never have been made." Now, what makes this case really sad is that with all the noise about the teens who kept silent about Marcy's body, the real victim in the case seemed to have been forgotten. I've tried searching for articles about Marcy and who she was before all this, and even about her family, but I couldn't find any. And while I get that maybe the family wanted some privacy, I can imagine that they didn't like how the press made it look like their daughter's murder was not as important as the teens who kept silent about her body. Marcy had a whole life ahead of her and did not deserve to die like that. And her loved ones definitely did not deserve to go through the pain of knowing that someone had murdered her and discarded her body like it was nothing. What do you think about this case? Let me know in the comments section, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to CrimeCity for more stories.